Biotech stocks under pressure following the resignation announcement over the weekend of FDA official Peter Marks, the Food and Drug Administration's top vaccine regulator, citing frustrations with the new Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr. Here with what this means for the healthcare space is Jefferies Managing Director, Michael Yee. Michael, it is great to see you. So Peter Marks resigns. It sounds like frustrations, Michael, with RFK Jr. Walk us through what you make of this news, the ripple effects. What are investors, Michael, and innovators supposed to make of that headline?
Good to be here with you. Look, I think on one side of the coin, this type of news adds to the uncertainty across the whole space, which obviously started with the appointment of RFK a few months ago. Obviously, pharma tariff, obviously high interest rates, a lot of the things that have challenged the space. So, this puts a little bit more concern into the group, and obviously the group continues to trade poorly this year. On the other side, we've had a lot of discussions with investors about the more medium to longer term, which is the fact that obviously stocks are still cheap or getting cheaper, and pharma still needs to look at some of these things to acquire. And more importantly, as it relates to Peter Marks, that is probably more a reflection about his oversight over CBER, or the vaccine group of the FDA. And obviously there's a lot of scrutiny going on the vaccines rather than other areas of the FDA. So fundamentally, not too concerned about the longer term.
Michael, Christine Short here. President Trump has talked about the potential to bring biopharma manufacturing back to the U.S. by imposing tariffs on products made outside of the U.S. And I'm wondering how you think that impacts the space. Are there specific names that have more exposure or be hit more directly by tariffs?
That's great. Look, in the large cap space, we actually put a note out last week, and we had basically the top 10 pharma biotechs. I can easily point out that Vertex stands alone as one of the only companies, actually Vertex and Biogen, as one of the two only companies that don't really have any manufacturing outside the United States, specifically Vertex, and they ironically have the highest tax rates. And we do like Vertex. The other companies, we spoke with Amgen, we spoke with Biogen, we spoke with many others. They all sort of generally have other manufacturing. Look, Amgen and many of these other companies, Regeneron, do have Ireland manufacturing sites, so we do have some concerns about their exposure there. The bottom line is this. This is another area which people are concerned about. However, like many of these spaces, there's kind of nowhere to hide. A lot of the whole sector obviously has been very tough, and at least in large cap pharma biotech, these stocks are not expensive. We know they're going to have put up strong Q1 earnings, and so overall, it's kind of like, where are you going to hide? So we do like Amgen, we like Gilead, we like Vertex as the best places to be in large cap biotech, and those stocks have been up 18 to 25% year to date. Some of the best performing stocks. Nobody tells me they're expensive. Nobody tells me that there's some huge concern on a Gilead or a Vertex. And these have been generally good places to be in, unless you're telling me all of a sudden tomorrow is going to be back to Magnificent Seven and everything's great. I think it's going to be a challenging year, and this is a good place to be for some more defensive exposure.
Michael, we were talking about Peter Marks. Curious to get your thoughts, though, about the FDA Commissioner, Marty Makary. What do investors need to know about him, Michael, going forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. One of the things we're trying to do is stay fundamental, although obviously staying fundamental has been tough for traders. A lot of our conversations these days with funds are, we're all about fundamentals. We've been sticking with fundamentals, yet obviously all these stocks are down. And so what we would say about Marty Makary, and have had a bunch of discussions with various lobbyists and other people who know him, is that he has been heralded as fairly pragmatic, fairly rational. He's obviously a trained physician, which you can't really say about RFK Jr. And obviously with some sense that he does actually want to make the FDA more efficient and wants to get more drugs approved faster and better. So even though there is a concern about vaccines and all of the things that are associated with some of the scrutiny as it relates to all of the political pressures around that, it is definitely likely that Marty Makary is going to be focused on making the FDA great, which includes making sure drugs are approved, making sure there's important life-saving drugs moving through the pipeline, and obviously good for biotech. So not so concerned about Marty Makary, but what I would say is this. We're telling clients, with the biotech sector down so much, with so much concern out there and so much reflected in the space, it's kind of like, look, if we look forward 3 or 4 months, things are still getting approved. I'm looking for Gilead's new HIV PrEP drug. That's a big one by June 19th, and maybe even some controversy about that one as it relates to HIV. Let's get back on pace. So much negativity out there that if Marty Makary is out there and trying to calm the markets and saying we're going to be focused on science, that's probably a positive.
Michael, we're always lucky to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.